Welcome back to WeDeyCode. And just for anyone who is new, the goal of WeDeyCode is to teach people of African descent and people of color how to code. Why? Because I myself fit in that category, and I've gone through this journey of figuring out how to code and actually building systems with it. And it can be a very daunting challenge, but don't worry, we'll get through it together. And what's most important is understanding that this is a gradual process. It's not going to happen overnight, and it all depends on how much you put in. And of course, like this video and subscribe to our channel, and make sure to stay in touch with us on twitter.com/WeDeyCode. That's WeDeyCode. Okay, so for this video, we're actually going to be starting the series of front-end development. So there are different aspects of software engineering, or web development rather. So if I go here and say full stack web development, okay, so if we just go online and Google that, and let's just check the images, okay. So what exactly is full stack development? So if we look at this image over here, what we see is that you can work on the front end or the back end or even the database. So what really happens is that when you go to websites, for example, you come in here and you type in your URL, what happens is that that a request is sent to some backend server, and that server processes the request and also fetches any necessary data it needs and then sends it to the front end. So for this series, we'll actually just be focusing on the front end and the skill sets needed for front end development. So let's start with that. Okay, so what exactly is needed for front end development? Essentially, what you need to do is have an understanding of three technologies, and these are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML is responsible for creating the structure and content of your website. That's where you see the headings, your paragraphs, and your lists. Then CSS is for presentations. So that's where you have the font sizes, font weights, the color of your page, background color, where you have borders on your tables. And then finally, there's JavaScript. So JavaScript is focused on the behavior of your websites. So that's where you can have dynamic display. That's how you see on some websites when you go there, they have images just moving left and right automatically. That's JavaScript. You can have widgets, you can have user interaction. So with HTML, you can already have buttons, but then to make things more interactive, you use JavaScript. And that's where you see sometimes when you can click on an element on the page, something pops up. So that's the use of JavaScript. So let's go a bit deeper into that. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And just as I said before, it's responsible for creating the structure of your web page. And we'll have an in-depth view of all these during this series, this season. So that's where you can control the layout of the content. You can say, okay, put the menu button here, put the paragraph on the top, put this image at the very beginning of the website, and it's the fundamental block of any web page. Think of it as sort of the skeleton, so to say, and it's just the bare bones view of the website. Then you have CSS, which is the cascading style sheets. It's called cascading because for each of your HTML elements, what you can actually do is to create styles for them and allow those styles to basically go down. So that's how you stylize the website, and you can style any element on the web page. You can say, okay, every paragraph on this website, change it to this color, or every button on this website, change to this color, or maybe you want some buttons to have a different color from another. That's where CSS comes in. It's the responsibility of CSS is to handle the look and feel of the web page. So HTML creates the structure, CSS basically beautifies what you see, and then with JavaScript, what you can do is to make it more interactive. So you add interactivity to your web page. You can create complex functions, complex features, like when you see people play games online, or even uh, paying for products online, buying products, and even certain kinds of animations. And you can also have programmatic code, which even makes the website more interactive. So these are things that we'll be looking into. So what does a website look like um, uh, with these three things? So HTML typically looks something like this, and I'll show you a bit of that shortly. So you can see there's HTML, there's the head, there's the body, there's first heading, second heading, a paragraph, an ordered list, and the elements in there. The CSS here, we can say, okay, for the body, right, this body, change the colors to this. For every unordered list, for this specific unordered list, change the font family to XYZ. This is how highly customizable that CSS allows your websites to be. Then you have JavaScript, which is essentially just a script that you put in your website that would allow it to increase the behavior of the website. Now, let's see. What does a website look like without CSS? So on the left, you have DuckDuckGo, a popular search engine. You can see how beautiful it looks like. But if you take away that style sheet, if you take away the CSS from the website, guess what it turns to? It just defaults back to the bare bones HTML. And this is exactly what HTML looks like. So when the web first started, this is what lots of websites look like. Just plain text, no very little styles. Then came CSS, and then came JavaScript. So why don't you see what happens without both HTML and CSS? So here we're looking at YouTube. So what I'm going to do is to right click. Okay, so let me just make this a bit smaller. So I'm going to right click here, click on inspect, and then why don't we toy around with this a little bit? So if I click on this arrow up here, it allows me to highlight anything on the website and to also have some details about it. So I'm using Google Chrome as my browser. You could also do that with Firefox. And what we've just done is to go into developer mode. So now you're in the matrix. Now you can see what's actually going on behind the website. In fact, just before that, to get a quick view of what the website looks like, you can right click and select view page source. So this shows you the source code of the website. And you can see for something like YouTube, it's very complex. You can see, oh, this is the HTML. This is what's going on behind the scenes on YouTube. You can see URLs here. You can see scripts. You can see all sorts of things. So that's what is going on behind the scenes. But don't worry. I would explain in the future how this is actually rendered, because you would not actually need to write this much code all of the time. You wouldn't need to have code this complex. What actually happens is that that's dynamically generated using certain full stack or front-end libraries rather. So let's go back to this. So we click and select an element, and then let's see, can we, so if we click on this, oh, what is that? It tells us this is the search button, right? And you can see there's some detail there. It's a button, and you can see all the information. The name is search, the role is button, and if we click on that, it takes us to it. And in here, let's see, let's see if we can play around with the styles. So I've clicked on it there, and what I'm going to do is down here in styles, let's see if I can change the width of this. So let's change to 650. So I press 0 and then enter. Oh, can you see that? It's already really wide. So we're just going to change it back to 65 pixels. Now, what happens if I were to delete this element? What's YouTube going to do about it? So let's delete this element, and let's see what happens. Okay, so that's just the icon, but I want to delete the whole search bar. So I'm going to right click on this search bar and click delete element. It's gone. Now I can't search. Does that mean I can't search? You see, it's no longer there. Right? It's no longer there. So let's also do it for the search bar, or even this video. Let's see if we can delete this person's video. So what do you think would actually happen? So let's go thumbnail. So what we're deleting is an element that represents the person's video. We're not actually deleting the person's video, because all I'm doing is just on my browser. It's just inside of my browser. It's just within my session. So this actually doesn't affect what's going on YouTube. So if I were to refresh the page, you can see that everything comes back to normal. Our search bar is back. So that's what happens when you mess with the HTML and CSS. So let's see what happens if we disable JavaScript. So over here we have things like, so let's see what JavaScript is helping us to do. So we could probably do things like add to queue, probably do things like, let's say, save to watch later. So now we're going to right click again and say inspect, and in here we're going to type Command Shift P if you're on a Mac, or Control Shift P if you're using Linux or Windows. And then what we're going to type is JavaScript, and we're going to click disable JavaScript. Oh, so now we're disabling JavaScript. So what's going to happen? Can you see? I can no longer interact with it. The video isn't playing. What happened? Right now, the website is just bare bones. It's no longer there. The styles are still there, but I can't really interact with it. And you see, it's still loading videos, but you can see now it's performing very poorly. I just disabled all the scripts on the website. Whereas if I were to go back here and hit Command Shift P again and type JavaScript and say enable JavaScript, now you see everything comes back up. The script that is behind the YouTube website is suddenly back up. So now if I click play, you see it starts playing.
Get a real-time
Exactly. Okay, so we're just going to close that player, and that's basically it. So this is the beginning of the Frontend Pro series. Stay tuned for more videos. Next, we'll be looking into HTML, and then we'll go on to CSS and JavaScript, and we will actually build our first website along the way. Thank you very much. This is WeDeyCode. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share to all your friends. Have a good day. Bye.